you guys. This is cool. Come on in. We're gonna do our first virtual tasting here. We're gonna hit both Barrios, white and red. And hopefully this is gonna lead to some cooler things as we get the bugs worked out. But hey, we're all together right now, so let's give it a shot. Got a nice little tasting area set up over here. A lot nicer than I'm usually used to tasting in the cellar. But hopefully you all have a cool scene at home. So here you go. We're gonna taste both the Barrio and the Barrio Blanca. We'll probably start with the Blanca. And I'm gonna fill you in a little bit on the history of these wines too, because you know, it's funny, we've been making these wines, I think about this, 16 years now. And even members that have been with us the whole time may not know about the origins of this. But most importantly, let's start off with a little wine. Get some in our glasses here. There's the Blanca. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the red as well, get a little air on it. So the Barrios. I don't know if you know this, but we opened our doors in 2004, but if you've been collecting your wines or you dig through our library, you're gonna see that we actually started making wines in 2003. So what does that mean? You know, you probably know this, but the wine business is super capital intensive. You know, think about it. Land, vineyards, waiting for the vineyards to yield, buildings, equipment, barrels, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I looked at the whole thing and I said, gosh, you know, I'm going to spend all this money and we won't see revenue coming in for some time because there were hardly any grapes in the state back in 2003, 2004. And, you know, we didn't want to wait around 4 or 5 years. So because I made wine in California prior to coming out here, I reached out to a bunch of friends and said, hey, can I make wine from your vineyards? I'm talking too much, I'm not drinking enough, so let me try a little. So essentially, I bought grapes from a variety of regions in California, ranging from Sonoma to Lodi, Central Coast, Santa Cruz Mountains, and I made our very first blends at my buddy Ken Foster's place. Ken was my boss at David Bruce when I made Pinot Noir on the Santa Cruz Mountains. Anyway, brought all these grapes in there. I oversaw production at Carneros Creek Winery in southern Napa and made our first kind of seminal wines. We made basically Barrio Red, we made Familia Red, we made El Serrano, and we made 2 little vineyard designates, one from a vineyard called Enns, which is the oldest Mourvedre vineyard in the country. And then we also made Cabernet Pfeffer. So some of you who've been around for a while, you know, probably remember the old vine Cabernet Pfeffer. The Barrio White, the Familia White, and the La Serrana came a couple years later. So really, we've been making the reds longer, and the whites just a fewer, you know, a couple fewer years. Anyway, you know, let's dig on this for a minute. You know, mine is kind of cellar temperature. It's not ultra cold. One of the challenges with whites are if you leave them in the fridge and you pour them immediately, a lot of times they'll taste crisper, but the chilling dumbs down the aromatics. So, you know, if your glass is super cold, maybe give it just a little bit of a swirl and warm it up with the palm of your hands and, you know, dig in a little bit. One of the great things about the Barrios in general is that they're blends, and so they're kind of crafted to become something that's really versatile and is not just, this isn't just Chardonnay and Chardonnay goes with this. It's not just Malvasia and Malvasia goes with this. These are these kind of crisp, fruit forward, you know, general blends that kind of work anywhere. It always has tons of citrus like it does right now. And by the way, I think, you know, so I'm on the 18 Barrio Blanca. I'm not sure what you guys are drinking. If you're drinking something a little older out of your cellar, generally speaking, you're going to see more kind of honeysuckle and nutty notes as the wine gets older and older. And the younger and fresher it is, the more you're going to see the citrus side. All right, so let's talk about the red a little bit. Shift this over here. So again, I believe this is 18. Yep, I ought to know that, but I don't. Got a few things on my mind these days. Right out of the gates, I'm just getting tons of red and dark fruits and this awesome spice, like a green pepper spice. In 18, we actually use more Cabernet Sauvignon in this blend than we ever have before. And I think it really shows. You know, we try to stylistically stay year to year with the same kind of weight in both of the barrios. Like for instance, we wouldn't all of a sudden jump to a barrel-aged, fat, you know, rich wine with the Barrio Blanca, nor would we go with something super dark and tannic for the Barrio Red. In fact, these days we're going to start calling it the Barrio Rojo, because this is one of the wines we send out to you all through Quail, our distributor, as well. It's available all over the place in the state. And people get a little confused when you're talking about Barrio or Familia. They're like, well, is it the red or the white? So we're just going to start calling this, you know, Barrio Rojo. It'll be showing up on the label. Anyway, beautiful, you know, purple fruits. It's great green pepper spice. Let's get it in our mouths. And you know, you can hear me aerating it. You know, the only reason I do that, it's not like a wine snob thing. I definitely do not consider myself a wine snob. I just love drinking good wine. But most of what you experience in a wine is really your retronasal. So basically all these fine little, you know, recording devices or sensing devices up in your sinuses. I'm sure you've noticed that when you have a cold and you try to taste things, you don't get a lot out of it. So anyway, the more you can kind of aerate it, sometimes I do this, like when we do tastings here, I actually put my hand over the glass, pretty sexy, huh? I lick my hand, but see all the bubbles now? Now, stick your nose in there. It's like, you know, now we're turned up to 11. It's super aromatic, like 10 times more. And I'm getting all kinds of new things, cedar, pencil, you know, kind of pencil shavings, graphite. So anyway, and just because I see these things doesn't mean that you will. And in fact, you might see things different than me, you know? In the future, when we get this thing dialed and we can have more interaction, it would be great to kind of hear what you guys and gals are smelling and tasting out there. But back to this, now I'm getting black raspberries and plums. And it kind of makes me want to have a steak with it. The other thing, especially when these wines are young, you know, let's say there's two of you enjoying a bottle right now. Take time and at the end, think about what you're experiencing versus what you got right at the beginning. In my experience, especially with young bottles, you get way more fruit-driven things early on, and the wine is a little less aromatic. And then as it opens up, you're going to see a whole nother round of things. And in fact, I would even suggest at the end, when your wine's empty or glass is empty, swirl it around and smell it with it where the wine's dried in the glass. You're going to get something completely different that is, you know, part of the essence of that wine. A professor of mine at UC Davis once said that each hour in the open bottle or the open glass is equal to about a year of aging. You know, whether that actually correlates, and I'm sure it's different for every wine, but think about it, because you know this thing's sealed in here. It's kind of captured in time, and it's aging really slowly based on the closure. Okay, but all of a sudden you open it, oxygen, atmosphere starts working on this wine. So it kind of makes sense that 1 hour of intensive aeration versus 1 year of teeny little bit of atmosphere getting in through that cork, you know, might correlate. But again, why I suggest kind of taking a look at these as they spend time open. Like for instance, I bet you when I drop back to this white, it's already completely different. Yeah, like before I was getting a lot of citrus. Now I'm getting, personally, again, I'm getting kind of ripe pineapple. There's these kind of marzipan-y notes in here, almond paste. Super tasty. I kind of, down the road, think we also need to have some food on the table here. We're doing something with Brian Nowicki, our old chef. He has Maggie's Farm a Go-Go right down the road from us now. And these are a couple of the wines that we're pairing with his Easter dinners. So if you get a chance, check out our website or check out Brian's Farm a Go-Go site too, because we've done these awesome pairings with these wines and all kinds of really, really cool classic Easter dishes like lamb, chicken, what else did he do? He did turkey and all these sides. It's like a whole restaurant menu. Anyway, a couple other maybe cool things about the Barrios. Conceptually, this wine has only changed $1 in price since we opened. We opened up in the marketplace at $15 a bottle, and now we're charging $16. And if you've ever read, if your eyes are better than mine, and you read the side text on these, you'll see that the story on both of the barrios, after we tell you what's in it, because we always tell you 100% every grape that's in our wines. It talks about having a wine that's affordable and accessible for everybody. When I was a young winemaker in California, I worked at a place called David Bruce, and even back then in the 90s, oops, sorry about that, I just knocked the table with my foot. Even back then in the 90s, our average bottle price was about $50. And as a young winemaker, I was a single dad with 2 boys. I couldn't even afford to buy our own wines. So I said to myself, when I open my winery, I'm going to make sure that we have wines that are affordable and stay affordable. And we've got other wines now that are more expensive. We select them more intensively, maybe put them in fancier oak, give them extra attention. But I think for every day and just the simplicity of enjoying wine with meals and with friends, at $16, I feel like we've kind of stuck with our kind of goal and philosophy and ethic of making sure everybody can have some of our wines. So anyway, in the near future, we've got a bunch of different themes. I really hope we can continue to do cool things here. We've been throwing around ideas of tasting different bottles that have been aged in different kinds of oak. Same grape, different oak. We've talked about maybe some classes on wine flaws. We've talked about simple things like just today I thought, God, I wonder how many people have actually decanted by skinning off a foil and pouring it with a flashlight under it. So we're going to do a bunch of things that are fun, educational, and practical, kind of just like we've always done at Page Springs. So anyway, hope you all will hang with us in the future. And I have a brandy cocktail session planned too, because you may or may not know, but we have released some awesome brandies. One from Colibri, one from Cochise County. They've been aged several years. Just the other day, we had a little bocce session up here, and I tested out all the cocktails with a bunch of our employees, and I think it worked out pretty well. So anyway, hope you all will visit again in the near future. Our to-go window is still open, and mostly we just want you to know we're still here doing the same things, making great wines, and just wanting to share with you all.
Do you want to let people know that we're going to do pre-ordered wines for the next virtual tasting?
Yeah, thank you. So that was Luke. Probably most of you know. The sessions in the future will post the plan with enough time prior that you can actually make sure you order or pick up the same wines that we will be tasting during that session, so we can all do it together. For instance, if I'm going to do a cocktail session, I'll send out something saying, okay, 2 bottles of brandy, and here's all the ingredients you need. Simple as that. And I'll try to keep them real simple. We won't do anything, super fancy, like where you have to, make simple syrups and things like that. It'll just be like 3 or 4 ingredients, simple and sweet. So yeah, we'll keep you posted. Watch the website, keep an eye out on social, and if you're wine club members, we'll be sending out e-blasts to you as well. All right. All good, guys?
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. Guess I'll finish drinking these.
Dude, that was